Welcome back to the Haunted Beard, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today, I want to talk about a movie called Earwig. And this is something that has been on my radar for a little bit. And it's a lesser known movie, but it was one that I was interested in because the director, her name is Lucile Hadzihalilovic. She is a French filmmaker, and she had happened to direct this movie called Evolution, which came out back in 2015. I've actually done a review for it on my channel, and it's one of my favorite horror movies. And so when I seen she was coming out with a new movie, I just had to check it out to see what she was going to bring us. And so I want to talk to you about it today. Earwig is a pretty bizarre and weird little movie, and it tells the story of this 10-year-old girl who has teeth made of ice, and she is being taken care of by this caretaker, and she never leaves this house. He has to change her teeth every single day. And one day he receives a telephone call to prepare the girl to leave. And that brief synopsis barely even scratches the surface of this movie. And Earwig is something really different. Now, Earwig is not going to be for everybody. I would say it's probably not going to be for the majority of people. This is a film I can see a lot of people labeling as pretentious, slow, boring, confusing, and just all out weird. This is a very different type of movie presented in a very different and unique type of way. There are a lot of similarities here just in terms of its presentation and directing style between this and Lucile's previous film, Evolution. I don't think there are any camera movements in this entire movie. Everything is just a static shot. And it kind of gives the impression of each sort of individual shot as being sort of like this painting. The visual presentation for this is very unique and very standout. The cinematography is really pretty great. All natural lighting was used. It's very dark, very kind of gloomy, very kind of murky. There's kind of this orange yellow type kind of glow and tint to a lot of it. It almost looks kind of very sickly and murky, and just a lot of dark lighting, a lot of silhouettes, but the visual presentation of it really stands out. There is very little music at all. A lot of the shots are long and extended takes, and for the most part, it is a slower paced film. And like I said, that's probably going to detract quite a few people. But this is a very sort of surreal, fantastical type movie. And it is qualified, according to IMDb anyway, as a horror film. And I think that is applicable, but this is a very different type horror movie. And there are some, I would say, disturbing images and visuals. There are some kind of eerie, creepy moments. The whole thing has a bit of a kind of fantastical, dream-like, nightmare type vibe to it. And I do think that there are some comparisons and similarities to be made between this and something of like a David Lynch type movie. Funnily enough, I've been talking about some of David Lynch's films, and there is a character in this movie that I think you could actually make a comparison to the Mystery Man in his film Lost Highway. It's also a very quiet movie. The first lines of dialogue aren't spoken until about 25 minutes into this thing. And so there's just a lot of sort of visual storytelling here and just minimal dialogue. And so, as I've said, this thing is very different. But I found it to be a pretty interesting and engaging experience overall. And I do think there are times it feels a bit slow, and personally, I would have liked it maybe been trimmed down just a little bit. But once you get to about the 40-minute mark, there's a very kind of pivotal scene that takes place at a bar. And then the rest of the film really kind of gets into a very sort of perplexing, kind of mystified, surreal fantasy, nightmare, dreamlike type thing where it is confusing to a degree, and to be honest with you, I wouldn't say that I fully understand it, but for the most part, I found the experience to be pretty rewarding, and I just appreciate that movies like this are still being made. Something that is pretty much completely devoid of any sort of typical narrative structure. We're so used to movies being told with a typical kind of three-act structure, right? And you introduce your characters and the problem, and then you know, work through all the problem, you get built to your climax, and then you get to your resolution. That's how the vast majority of movies are told. Well, this kind of just takes that and completely throws it out. And I just appreciate that we still can get, I think, really different and just unique stuff and weird, bizarre stuff that is still being made. And for me personally, I just love a movie that's just so different and bizarre and mysterious and is just so different than the vast majority of what we see today. And there's something fun about just watching a movie that is very sort of vague and opaque, and it kind of leaves you, you know, little kind of little clues and little breadcrumbs here and there, and it's kind of making these sort of vague connections, and it's bringing up some repeated imagery, and you're kind of trying to piece it together. But there's something that's just exciting for me when I'm kind of just sitting there and watching it, and I'm just like, okay, what does that mean? Or what are they trying to do there? What are they trying to say there? And it's just kind of this, as I've said, sort of perplexing, mysterious sort of experience that I just really appreciate it. I have no idea what to grade this thing. The grade here is kind of irrelevant. This movie is just kind of its own unique thing. But I appreciated it. I will give it a grade. I'll give it a 7 out of 10, and you know, for whatever that's worth. And so, like I said, this is not going to be for everybody, and probably not even the majority of people. But if you're in the mood for something different, something unique, something weird and bizarre and surreal, give Earwig a shot. I think it's worth your time, and you can stream it right now on Mubi. So check it out. I recommend it. So thank you once again for watching. If you like this video and you like content like this, please consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. That's what I do on The Haunted Beard. It's all horror and thriller movie content coming at you. So click that button. All right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on The Haunted Beard.